So now come into a seated position. Sit up as tall as possible. Start to tune into the breath. Start to notice each breath moving through your body. Bring some attention to the surface on which you're sitting. Notice the downward force of your pelvis, the bones of your pelvis, into the sitting surface. Notice the upward force of the sitting surface into your pelvis. Notice the balance between those two forces. The downward force, pelvic bones pushing into the sitting surface, and the upward force. Perfect balance, perfect harmony. The upward force of the sitting surface pushing back into your pelvis, providing stability, steadiness, a feeling of groundedness. Make a commitment to continue to come back to that awareness anytime that you notice that your attention has wandered to anything outside of the here and now. Use that steadiness of the seat to anchor your attention to the present moment. Keeping some general awareness on the steadiness of your seat. Begin to apply some attention to the breathing, the subtle movements that come along with each breath. Just notice any subtle movements in your body that are happening on each inhale. And notice any subtle movements in your body that are happening with each exhale. A little bit of expansion in the abdominal wall, maybe on the inhale. And the abdominal wall coming back into its resting place on the exhale. The inhale, expansion. And on the exhale, the return. Begin to create a little movement in your body with each inhale and exhale. On the inhale, gently lift the chin up toward the sky. And on the exhale, tuck the chin and let your head move forward a bit. Inhale, lifting the chin, the head goes slightly back. And the exhale, tucking the chin. Continue to move with the breath, matching the inhalation with the upward movement, and the exhalation with the downward movement. As you're creating some movement in the neck, begin to create a little bit of movement in the pelvis. The inhale, the pelvis tilting forward, belly expanding forward. And on the exhale, the tailbone tucking under as the chin comes down. The inhale, belly expands forward, pelvis tilts forward. On the exhale, tuck the tailbone under. Tuck the chin. Continue to move the entire spine with each breath. The inhalation brings the spine into full extension. The exhalation tucks the tailbone under, tucks the chin, brings the spine back into full flexion. As you're combining the movement with the breath here, keep some attention on the steadiness of your seat. Perfectly balanced upward and downward forces of the sitting surface with your pelvis, giving you the groundedness and stability, steadiness. The steadiness provides the framework in which you can create movement. As you're continuing to move the spine, begin to create a little bit of a sound with each breath. The inhale and the exhale, creating a slight little hissing sound on the back of the throat, still breathing in and out through the nose. But now creating a little bit of sound with each breath on the back of the throat. Kind of like a sigh, but your mouth remains closed. Creating a sound and putting your attention, your sense of hearing, listening to the sound. Continue creating the sound with each breath, paying attention to the sound, listening to the sound. Continue moving with each breath. And continue to maintain some awareness of the firmness and steadiness of your sitting surface, the perfectly balanced upward and downward forces between your sitting surface and your pelvis. As you're continuing to move the spine, begin to let the size of the movement diminish with each movement and each breath, slowly coming to a place of relative stillness, no longer exaggerating or emphasizing the movement of the spine. Notice there's still a little bit of movement there. The inhale, the expansion of the abdomen, a little bit of a tilt of the pelvis, and on the exhale, the abdominal wall returns to its resting place, and there's a little bit of a counter movement of the pelvis, very slight and subtle, letting the movement settle into stillness. Continue to create that sound with each breath. And continue to listen to that sound. Keeping the chin tucked, on your next inhale, think about extending the crown of the head upward. And on the exhale, lay the right ear toward the right shoulder. And on the inhale, bring the head back up to the center. And on the exhale, lay the left ear toward the left shoulder. Inhale, come back to the center. And on the exhale, right ear toward the right shoulder. Continue to move with the breath. Each inhalation returns your head and neck to the neutral position. Each exhalation lets your head lay over to the opposite shoulder. Continue moving with the breath in that manner. Continue listening to the sound of each breath. Continue noticing the steadiness in your foundation. The steadiness in the foundation where your pelvis is grounded into the sitting surface. And how that steadiness allows for the freedom of movement in the neck. And then return your head and neck back to the neutral position. On the next inhale, think about extending the crown of the head upward. And on the exhale, turn your head to the right, looking over the right shoulder. On the inhale, turn the head back to the neutral position. And on the exhale, turn the head to the left, looking over the left shoulder. Continue to move with the breath. The inhale moves the head and neck to neutral position. The exhale, rotating the neck, turning the head, looking over the shoulder. As you perform this movement with the breath, continue to create a sound with each breath. Continue to listen to that sound. Continue to notice the steadiness in the pelvis, steadiness that the foundation is providing. Now let the head and neck come into stillness. Still paying attention to the breath, listening to the breath, making that little sound with each breath. Really beginning to tune back into the steadiness of the seat. Engage the pelvic floor on each inhale. On the inhalation, engage the pelvic floor. Those are the muscles you would use if you were trying to stop the flow of urine. And on the exhale, draw the navel inward. Inhale, engage the pelvic floor. And on the exhale, draw the navel inward. Inhale, pelvic floor. Exhale, draw the navel inward. Continue to move with the breath in that way. The inhalation, engaging the pelvic floor. Exhalation, drawing the navel inward. We're activating the deepest muscles of the core here. Continue creating that sound with each breath. A slight sigh or hiss on the back of the throat, kind of like the sound of the ocean. As you're tuning into the sound of the breath, keeping attention on the steadiness in your seat, begin to imagine with each inhale and the squeeze of the pelvic floor that squeeze is a pump that's pushing energy up through a column that runs down the center of your body. Not necessarily the spine itself, but a column of energy, subtle energy, that's really close to the spine. Maybe even overlaps with it. Not a physical structure, but a thing that exists in a more subtle realm of existence. Imagining that column of energy, the inhale, the squeeze of the pelvic floor, pushing energy up to the top, the crown of the head. On the exhale, the energy is releasing, trickling back down the front of the body, drawing the navel in. That energy returning to the pelvic floor with each exhale. The inhale, energy surging up the spine, up the center column of the body, to the crown of the head. And on the exhale, the energy trickles back down into the pelvic floor, down the front of the body, as the abdomen pulls in with each exhale. Just allow the breath to flow through your body now, making no effort to manipulate it or engage anything. Just bring pure awareness to the breath. You can let go of the sound of the breath. You can let go of imagining that the energy is flowing up the spine and down the front of the body. And just come into the place of the observer of the breath. Notice what it feels like in your body. as each breath flows through your body like a wave passing through a body of water. Notice your body. Notice your mind. Hopefully we've cultivated a mind that is a little bit quieter, less noise, a body that is a little bit looser and freer with less tension. And just remember that any peace, any serenity that you were able to cultivate today is always available to you. It's always within you. You can tap into it anytime you like. And all it takes is practice, practice, practice.